Welcome students to the subject Computer Fundamentals. So in the previous class we have discussed a few of the basic components that are present on the motherboard. Now let us discuss in more detail about the remaining components that are present on the motherboard and what are the different cable connectors that we have and that we use to connect different peripheral devices and the architecture in more detail. So now let us discuss or let us view the inside part of the CPU case. So this entire chipset what you are seeing, this is entirely the motherboard. So when we place this CPU vertically, this is how it looks, and these are some drives that we have, and these are the IDE cables. So let us understand what are the different drives that we have and what are the cables that are required to connect from the power supply to the different drives. So this is from the back panel. So the input output peripheral devices that we have, so that will be connected to this or your audio and video. So in the motherboard we'll be having those input output terminals, so that can be viewed from this. So like this is where we get the main power supply, and this is the SMPS, and these are the audio and video terminals. And once we do all the assembling, we put the cover for this entire CPU. So these are some cards, okay, like we can have a network interface card, RAM, video cards. So all our graphic cards, all these are called as the cards, and these are called as the drives. Like we can have floppy drive, CD drive, okay, and hard disk. So all these are called as the drives. In this you will get a more clear picture of the drives that we use. So we can see here 1 2 3 4 5, so almost 5 drives we have. But in these days we don't use this floppy disk and zip disk, but still as a basic level we should understand that we have different types of drives. So from starting from the older generation we had this zip drive, and then we have floppy drives, then we have CD and DVD drives, and then we have the hard disk, and so on. So all these are having different connectors, so we need to understand how the power supply is transferred to these drives and how the interaction take place. So as you can see, this is the DVD drive, and then we have the CD. RW stands for read write, and then we have zip drive and floppy drive and hard drive. So earlier days we had only floppy drive, and later on to increase the floppy drives, I mean the floppy disks, floppy disks were almost like 5 KB, but the capacity of this drive was floppy disks were improved, and we called them as the zip drive. Then came the CD drives, and CDs were existed, and then we have these latest, we can have these DVDs. So till now we use I mean even today we use this CD drive and DVD drive, but we rarely use, I mean it is almost neglected these days, the floppy drives and zip drives. But still we can have this empty drives here, or we can put extra DVD and CD drives if is required. And at the bottom place we have our hard disk, that is the secondary storage device. These are called as the expansion slots basically. So 1 2 3 4, so all in these slots, so we place this expansion cards. Okay, so I mean the cards that we place on these expansion slots, we call them as the expansion cards. So like we can have our network interface card, and we can have graphic cards, video card, sound card. So all these were used in the earlier days, but most of the time in today's technology, the sound cards and network interface cards we don't use. Basically, I mean all these will be inbuilt on the motherboard. So we have this video card, and then we have this sound card and FireWire card, okay, Ethernet card, or we can say network interface card, NIC card, and also we are in the earlier days we had the modem card as well. So these are the different expansion slots, and we can place these video cards and sound cards and all, and these are not compulsory. These are not mandatory, so if is required we can put it, otherwise we can skip it. But to get a particular thing, like for example, if you want to have the internet connection, and you assume that RJ45 connector is damaged or that particular slot is not working, then we can put this expansion slot, that is Ethernet card can be placed. Now, this is the most important part of the CPU. So we know that at the back side of this we have this power switch where the original power supply will be passed to the CPU. So before passing it to all these different small components, the main power supply will come to this SMPS, that we call it as the switch mode power supply. So it basically acts like a stabilizer, like that we have with our own TV. So it produces, it takes the input, a high volt input will be taken by this power supply, SMPS, and it will distribute equal amount of current, or the power supply will be passed to different storage and different connectors and other devices. So according to the requirement of each individual unit or each individual component, it supplies the required amount of electricity by using these different connectors. Again, these are some RAM cards we can see, and then we have this CMOS battery. It basically stands for complementary metal oxide semiconductor, and it is used for the starting of the computer system, or when we turn on the system it will be used to store the information, like it basically stores the time and date. So all this information will be present on this CMOS battery. So it is maintaining, or it maintains all the information regarding the date and time. So here you can see this is the more clear picture of a CMOS. It's like a small cell we can say, or a small battery basically, and it that maintains the time, date, and hard disk and other configuration settings in the CMOS memory. Basically for BIOS, or basic input output system, the information is required for that will be maintained by the CMOS batteries, and are small and are attached directly to the motherboard. So they are mounted on the motherboard, and they are very small in size and easily available in the market. So sometimes when our computer is not showing proper date and time information even after resetting it, so the main drawback can be the problem with the BIOS. So we can just replace it easily. Let us understand the motherboard. So we call the motherboard as main board or base board or logic board and so on, and it basically provides us a facility, or it allows us to communicate with different devices. So we can have this central processing unit, or we can say our processor, and then we have our memory slots like a RAM card, and then we have our hard disk. So all these devices always want to have this communication, so that communication will be provided by the motherboard. So all this communication will be taken care by the motherboard, and it uses some connectors. So we are going to study different connectors now, and it usually contains significant subsystems such as the central processor, the chipsets, and input output and memory controllers, like our keyboard input output connectors. So for all this it requires a proper interaction. So motherboard basically provides the interface for all the different components and for the connectors. So as we have discussed the CPU, so this is what the more clear picture of this CPU holder. So where we'll be having this steel material or the lock, and we have to open this lock, and then we can place the microprocessor. So and it is very delicate. So even if one of the pin of the microprocessor is damaged, then we cannot do anything with that. So entire microprocessor has to be replaced, and microprocessor cost is very high. It is not that easily available. I mean, it is available in fact, but it is not that cheap. So usually we don't try to change this. I mean, most of the time after using it the computer for 6 months or 8 months, we try to open the entire CPU case, and then we try to remove the dust particles and other things that are present on the motherboard. But we usually don't do that with the microprocessor, because it is very delicate. So these are the memory RAM holder or the memory slots, and depending on the type of RAM we are using, will be having different types of RAM, like DRAM, DDR RAM, DDR3 and so on, or static RAM, SDRAM. So based on that we'll be having a different architecture, and they come in different sizes, like we can have 128 pins and 164 pins. Latest we can have these 240 pins and so on. So it depends on the architecture of the computer. So this is the outer view of the power supply controller or the SMPS, where from the external power supply, I mean from the external source, the power supply will be transferred to this, and from here the power, I mean the electricity will be passed to the different devices by using these different cables, our IDEs. And we had two versions or two standards, we can say, that will be provided by the manufacturers. Like Intel has provided some standards, so this 80 and 80X are called as the standards that are provided by the motherboard manufacturers, and 80 stands for advanced technology and 80X stands for advanced technology extended. So older motherboards require this advanced technology, and latest we use this 80X power supply. So only thing that you need to remember is how the computer has organized and what are the different components that are present on the computer or on the motherboard. So your objective is to identify the different components, because with related to this we have this lab assignment. So your task is to identify the different components and to understand in brief about these components. And then we have this something called a chipset. So it looks similar to the microprocessor, but it is not that. It is just an integrated circuit, we can say, and it basically helps in managing data flow, like transfer of data from one device to another device, or from, usually we want continuous interaction of memory device to the processor, because we want to do our calculation, and calculations or arithmetical and logical operation will be done in the processor. So and the information or the data is present on the memory devices or on the storage devices. So the proper interaction is required from the memory to the microprocessor. So this chipset helps in or it acts like a manager which will control the data flow from this processor to the memory disks, like taking the input from the input devices and giving out the output. For all these we have this chipset, and it works with a specific family of microprocessors. Like we had a different microprocessors, the series of microprocessor we have 8085 and so on. So it is meant for a specific pattern and specific design of this microprocessor. And the important thing that a chipset has, or a chipset consists of two things, that is the north bridge and south bridge. So let us understand the importance of having this north bridge and south bridge, and let us identify where these north bridge and south bridge are present on the motherboard. So this north bridge typically connects to the high speed components or the devices like a processor and our graphic cards. For all this we require this north bridge, and the south bridge is responsible for communicating with peripheral devices like our secondary storage device like hard disk and DVD, CDs, and for that we use this south bridge. So these two provides the basic functionality of data flow from one device to another device, and they control the communication and they provide the interface. Like we can see here as an example. So north bridge is connecting to, or it is communicating with the high speed devices like RAM, processor, okay, or like graphic cards. Here we have the term called as EGP, which stands for accelerated graphic port. For all these video cards we use this north bridge. And when we come at South bridge, it connects to the secondary storage devices like USB cables, USB drives, audio and video, audio cables, and like we have this hard disks. So for all this or secondary storage devices, we use this south bridge. So this is what we call it as the north bridge, and this is what we call it as the south bridge. So if you can observe, we have almost identified all these components and that were present on the motherboard. Like we have seen the processor slot, we have checked the RAM slots, we have seen this extension slots, we have talked about this CMOS battery, we have talked about the north bridge and south bridge, and then we also discussed the different peripheral ports like for input, output and power supply. So all these are the different components that are present on the motherboard. So now let us discuss how these components are connected and what cables we use to connect these different components. So we basically call these connectors or the cables as the IDE, so which stands for the integrated drive electronics. So these are some of the standards that we use to connect different storage devices and input output peripheral devices. So it refers to the types of cables and ports used to connect some hard drives and optical drives like our CD drives and DVD drives. So for all this we have the power supply coming from the SMPS. So through the SMPS we will be having these different cables, and these cables will be applied on the motherboard, and one connection will be given into the different storage units. So earlier days we use this PATA, we can say, or parallel advanced technology, and then we have this SATA, serial advanced technology attachment. So all these are the different standards that we are going to study. So these are the IDE slots where we actually connect this IDE cables. So through this IDE cables, that IDE cable will have different again small switches, we can say, or the small connectors through which we can connect to this CD drives and DVD. So as you can see there, this is what we call it as the IDE cable, and we had seen two slots we had, or we can have also expansion slots in this. So we have one primary IDE connector and one the secondary IDE connector. So from this we can have again different connectors for the CD drives and DVDs and so on. So the latest motherboards use this SATA connectors or this serial advanced technology attachment. So earlier days we use this ATA advanced technology attachment, and later on the speed of these connectors was increased, the data transfer rate was improved, and we have the latest as the SATA connectors. So these are the SATA connector slots. Basically these are used for the connecting the hard disk, hard drive to computer's motherboard. So from the hard disk we should have a connection to the motherboard, so that will be done by this SATA ports. Like you can see here, the SATA ports are available. So basically it controls and transforms the data from the mass storage, that or nothing but your hard disk. So this is the SATA cable. So one will be connected to that particular slot and one will be attached to the hard disk. So based on this settings, it will have some settings. So based on that settings we can connect to this particular SATA slot. So this is the AGP port, we can say, or for connecting this high-speed video cards can be placed on this AGP slot or on the port. Basically for gaming and animation we use this high-speed graphic card is required. So for that we have this port, and these are not essentially required. So if you are playing a high-end game, or for example if you are using any high-end softwares, so during that time only you require these graphic cards, and they are not compulsory required to use the computer. So this is the example of a sound card. Is also referred to as an audio card. Is a peripheral device that attaches to the IC or PCI slot on the motherboard. And these are some images of the NIC cards or the network interface cards, where it helps to connect to the internet. So whenever we want to get connected to the internet, so it allows the computer to join a network. So it can be wired or wireless as well. So the connection, the internet connection can be wired or wireless. For that we use this network interface cards. So it basically helps to exchange the information from one computer to the another computer. It can be in local area network or it can be wide area network and so on. So for that communication we require this network interface cards, or we can also call them as the Ethernet cards as well. So their transmission rate can be 100 Mbps, and this it is not bytes. Whenever we use the small b, it means bits. So 100 Mbps, megabits per second. And it can be, if we have having a gigabyte Ethernet card or the connection, then we can have 1000 megabits per second. So these are some of the transmission rates that is being specified. That's it. And these are some of the different types of RAMs. So usually we these days we are using DDR3 and above that version. So earlier we had used DDR RAM and DDR2 and DDR3 and so on. So as we went on with invention, we moved on from one generation to another generation. We had high capabilities RAMs. So altogether we were able to identify the different storage and different components, devices and the components that are present on the computer system, and we were able to identify the different slots and small components that are available on the motherboard. I hope after watching this video you will be able to identify the different elements that are present on the motherboard. So I want to give one small assignment. So let us list all the things that you watched on these two videos, and let us make a list of all those things, and let us able to identify the different components of the computer system. Thank you.